every decision matters.
Up here's where your biggest risks hide: leaks, mold, and expensive damage. Most commercial roofs fail slowly until they fail big. Why rip it off when you can restore it? Our silicone coatings stop leaks, prevent mold, and extend your roof life without the high replacement cost. It's a 30-year watertight roof, energy efficient, leak-free, and half the cost of replacement. And it's backed by GE's manufacturer warranties. Facility managers love this. No disruption, no tear off, and long-term protection for your property. Trust Absolute Restoration for your commercial roof.
When people are fed, futures are nourished. They can connect with the world around them, unlock endless possibilities, and thrive. Join the movement to end hunger. Volunteer. Advocate. Donate. Go to feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Well, good evening and happy Tuesday. Once again, I'm meteorologist Gabe Maynor here for Mississippi Live Weather at 6. And storms have finally started to subside just a bit, enjoying a much calmer evening compared to what we've been seeing this afternoon. That's one of the things we'll be watching is those isolated chances. At latest look at those isolated chances into the rest of your Tuesday evening. But the golden question tonight is actually what will be the game of the week? A heated battle on our Facebook page right now with votes between South Pontotoc versus Okolona, as well as Tisch County versus Belmont. Have you submitted your vote? Well, if you haven't just yet, you might make the difference. Similar to what we were tracking last week, we are in the exact same scenario tonight with two new matchups. And fall is right around the corner. I told you guys that we'd be tracking that latest outlook as fall is officially 6 days away, and we'll have exactly that heading into our next 7 days. We'll have that here tonight at 6 as well. So the first 12, the 20% chance still lingering in the forecast around 7 p.m., but drying up overnight. Not just drying up, but clearing up as well. And towards tomorrow morning, mid-60s are expected with plenty of sunshine as well. Now, I'm trying to get it up right here. I want to show, we're going to figure this out together. Oh, where is it? My apologies. I'm trying to figure out behind the scenes which one it is. And is it this one? There we go. Perfect. Okay. So here's where the vote sits right now. And currently, if I pull this up right here, you see 43%, which is about 3,755 votes for Belmont versus Tishomingo County, and South Pontotoc versus Okolona has 3,714. So heated battle right now. What is the difference? Let me see. About 41 votes, and that has been flip-flopping all night long. So if you have not submitted your vote just yet, again, you could make the difference. And I would love to say East Webster versus Ripley's in the running as well, but 15% with about 4 hours left on that voting process. Hey, you guys might make a surge. What are you guys at right now? Let me check. 15% is about 1,439 votes. So we need a couple more before we get in the running on this one. Not impossible. I've seen more bigger comebacks in the past, but definitely would take a bit of an uphill battle, and anything is possible. So go submit those votes right now. Again, you could make all the difference on where we go. Is it going to be South Pontotoc or is it going to be Belmont? One of those two places will be our location for our game of the week, and we'll find that out coming up tonight at 10. Let's keep our forecast going and go ahead and take a look outside at a few of our North Mississippi Storm Chaser cameras. Aberdeen showcasing a lot of blue skies as that sun starts to set. This is looking north, so that's where some drier conditions have been in the area. If you look southwest, a bit of a different story as some of those showers start to progress across Clay County and into parts of Lowndes County as well. 82 degrees towards Edinburgh, and you can see that it is a much drier forecast than what has been seen all through the evening, but surrounding Edinburgh, should I say, it has been an active afternoon. Greenwood, 82 degrees, so temperatures calming down, temperatures cooling off, and those rain showers coming down as well. You can see that little blip right there on the south end of Greenwood. That's the extent of the moisture that we're tracking right now. But as we get into Mississippi Live Weather Radar and we go over the last hour or so, you can see how things have trended. A lot of that activity out there in the Delta has now just started to dissipate away. And what we're seeing right here is, again, that interaction with the outflow boundary. We said it would kind of explode with a few more of those showers along that outflow. Did exactly that, especially where these two just clapped together right there towards Lowndes County and Clay County, now towards northeast Oktibbeha County. So tracking that, let me go over the last 30 minutes or so to get a good idea on this storm path. I can go ahead and zoom in on that for you guys so you can look at this along with me. That's going to be right along Highway 82. Some electricity, about 21 strikes over the last 30 minutes or so, but this one on the leading edge is the one that we were watching at first, now starting to merge with a little bit of those cells on the back end towards the northwest. So not a ton of movement whenever we consider all of those factors. Whenever we're tracking this out, again, moving about that southeast direction through Artesia, I would take it at most 7 miles an hour as of right now, and you might notice there's not many locations in there, but moving across Highway 82 right now, north side of Rocky Hill. I don't believe it's reaching the campus of Mississippi State just yet, but maybe a few sprinkles starting to move in, so hopefully students are back at home now. I know I had an 8 p.m. class on Monday nights my freshman year, so heading out and about, and when there's a thunderstorm, this would definitely have been a night where I might have been sick. So don't tell my TA that. But that was a couple years ago, so they're probably long gone at this point. So let's zoom back in. I believe this is looking at threats out of Memphis. We might need to change this over to Columbus. Let's put it on threats. And did I take it off? I might have taken it off. There we go. Okay, this is looking out of Columbus. So looking at that core, what we're seeing right there is a little bit of a hail core. One of the things that we've noticed over the last 24 hours is that whenever we're getting that 1-inch hail returns, what's reaching the surface is primarily just going to be those heavy raindrops. But a few of these could be very, very small hail, talking about pea-sized hail altogether, and even surrounding that, some of that hail core showing up about 1/2 of an inch on that leading edge of the cluster of storms. That one closer to Mayhew, about a 1/2 inch hail, way high up in the sky. What's actually reaching the surface, again, still those heavy drops along Highway 82. So paying attention to this storm, and we'll track that in more detail here coming up in just a moment. So as you can see on our analysis mode right here, we can see all of that cluster of storms right there. But if we zoom things out, and we're talking really zoom things out, we can see that atmospheric analysis that gives us a reason why this is all happening. And why is this all happening? Well, we have an interaction of a trough and a ridge. And right now we're in a ridging pattern across the region, which means that drier air, for the most part, is sticking around in the forecast. And that's what we've been getting the past few days. That low out there towards the Carolinas now progressing into the Atlantic and carrying a lot of the moisture into West Virginia, Maryland, all those locations far away from North Mississippi. But whenever you have a dominant ridge, we basically get almost two high pressures that develop. One planted there in Georgia and South Carolina, the other one out here towards Oklahoma and Dallas. So these two things together, you basically get the shear axis where you have these winds that are going opposite ways, start to create a little bit of a lift, kind of like clapping together and forming a few of these storms. And that's exactly what we're getting right here with that shear axis, almost acting like a zipper from Kansas City all the way down to New Orleans. And you can see exactly that, where those storms are continuing to develop and continuing to stick around. But fortunately, we are on the back end of these chances, and we expect a lot of those chances to dissipate heading overnight and into our Wednesday. So here you see Tuesday evening, those rain chances still primarily towards Louisiana and Arkansas. That's where they'll be for the most part into our Tuesday night. And you can see those showers sticking around northern Louisiana. That's as far north as they make it. I mean, here in North Mississippi, staying on the drier side, some of these showers that are forming are kind of those rain bands that are wrapping around that low pressure center towards Virginia. So unfortunately, as far west as it reaches is about Florence, Alabama. So for a large portion of us here in North Mississippi, staying on the drier side for the extent of our Wednesday and even into Wednesday morning, and for some of our Wednesday afternoon. And I say some because once again, mid to late afternoon, we see those chances push back into the region. 20% coverage, so not overly high. So that's the thing about it, it's just not going to be a very soggy forecast. But for those that do get rainfall, some decent downpours at times can be expected. So we'll be looking at that in a little bit more detail coming up here on Mississippi Live Weather at 6 in the next 60 seconds. But that's one of the things we'll be tracking here in the Room to Room Weather Center. We're also going to be looking at that extended fall outlook. We're 6 days away. So what exactly are we expecting heading into our fall season? Well, keep it here for the very latest, and we'll be looking at that in full detail here in just a few moments.
Your family deserves the most beautiful smile possible. At Tupelo Smiles, we use precision dentistry and advanced technology to make visiting the dentist an amazing experience. Relationship-based comprehensive care. Come discover the difference at Tupelo Smiles.
What would you give for a child you loved? To make their wish come true? To help them fight a critical illness? Just imagine what you'd do. Every single one of us can make the stars align, because when we come together, hope and joy will shine.
'Cause in the sky, 'cause in the sky, I think I saw you.
1 in 10 kids vape. Each vape pod can contain the same amount of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes.
The health class film guy isn't the best person to talk to your kid about vaping.
Got a few minutes?
You are. Talk to your child about vaping today.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Well, welcome back into Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I know that we've been having an active afternoon over there in the Delta, but here in Lafayette County, I mean, this is a great shot of that sunset happening right now at 6:10 this evening. You might notice that sun starts to set a little bit earlier as each day passes, and I believe this is the last time we will have a 7 o'clock sunset heading into the next, the next few days? Is that a time? What is the word I'm looking for? Oh my word, I hate when this happens. But whenever that fallback time frame, whenever we change our clocks back, that's what we'll be tracking. And so sunsets just become earlier and earlier. 84 degrees in Oxford right now. So fortunately, those cooler conditions at least pushing in a little bit sooner so we can enjoy that. And same thing down around Starkville. But Starkville getting some of that rain-cooled air. Our meteorologist Caleb Edelblut just sent me a picture. I unfortunately was not able to get it in the show before we came back, but he's getting a good shot up there. This is looking south into campus. So this is where those storms are barely getting into campus. Might see a few drops happening here in just a moment, but paying attention to the Oktibbeha County area, as that is our best chance of rainfall after what has been an active afternoon for the most part across North Mississippi. So let's go ahead and get into analysis mode right here. What we're watching, and I mentioned Oktibbeha County specifically, is some activity that's starting to develop along that outflow boundary. And as I jump to that latest scan, you can see that we are currently just northeast of campus. Campus is, I am a Mississippi State alumna, so I hope that I can remember. But there's Mississippi State, right there south of Starkville just a bit. And that's where we have some of those showers. I mean, we are right on the outskirts. How far is that? I'm curious, because I know some students are still out and about. 4 miles? Maybe 3 miles on some of those outer edges. But that's what we're watching at 6:11 is the chance at a few of those showers. Let's go 15 minutes back and see how this has trended. Are we going to see raindrops on Mississippi State's campus? It is moving a little bit more southerly, and what that means is that some of these drops there on the backside of the storm towards Rocky Hill might filter into the Starkville area as we get into our 6:30 hour. So let's go ahead and assess that and put a storm track on that. Again, let me, behind the scenes here, get a generalized storm track. Okay, so that, you have an interesting interaction here. What's happening with these storms? These all start to move a little bit west, and then you have a storm moving directly south. These have basically combined together there around the Osborne community. So it's going to be interesting which path prevails, and I expect it to continue to move in that southerly track because that's where these storms have been moving. So if we put that path right there, and we're going to do it right along Rocky Hill, Bel Air Estates, and there towards Artesia. I know there are a few drops there towards Sessoms out ahead of the storm, but this is going to be for the main batch. We're going to put that directly south at about 7 miles an hour. Of course, I clicked the wrong button. But 7 miles an hour, that's not overly fast on these storms, and that's really what they've been doing all day long. And so, again, that's what we're tracking. And so I have that going through the Mississippi State campus closer to about 6:25 to 6:30. So make sure to be in your class by then or be in your dorm by then. So that way you're not getting rained on. I know dinner is right now. So hopefully folks are in the Union getting what they need to do before they head on back. You can see the Cotton District about 6:35. So folks over there, I'm enjoying some stuff at the bin, some fries at the bin, or some barbecue over at Two Brothers. Well, it's going to be a rainy one for some of us. But at least we are on the outskirts, and we are talking worst case scenario if that were to trend a little bit more south and southwest rather than moving in that southeast motion. So there's a look at a few times. Artesia 6:14, Blackjack 6:23. University Estates, like I mentioned, 625, and Tanglewood close to 627. I see we have another scan that just took place, and this looks like it is taking a little bit more southerly, but this storm collapsing as that outflow boundary starts to push out ahead of this, so we're not expecting too many more impactful storms in the area, just a result of a diminishing effect into our evening, into our Tuesday evening. But earlier on, if I take this back about 4 hours, take a look at what it was around 4 o'clock, I'm blocking it, but several of these storms out there in the Delta really tried to ratchet up, and we saw a few severe thunderstorm warnings down there around Yazoo County, but for the rest of us, dry. Dry has been the story, and we just keep staying away from these rain showers. So fortunately, no severe weather for the majority of us, but unfortunately, no rainfall. And that's been the hard part about this forecast, is the fact of how dry things have been. I put up a post on my page earlier, and it was about the garden at the Maynor household that we put together a few months ago, and finally starting to get something produced. And that is through a lot of labor trying to keep those plants alive and watering it every single morning, waking up and doing so. So make sure if you have those gardens like our household does, the fruits of your labor will happen, the literal fruits and veggies of your labor. You just have to stay diligent and make sure to water every single day, because otherwise they start to get crunchy. It takes one day of that dry air to kick in. So day planner this evening, still for a couple of us, 10% chances there by 8 p.m. But again, those chances continue to diminish, and not just diminish, it'll actually clear completely out with clear skies expected by that midnight hour. Let's take a look at Futurecast right here, 7 p.m. A lot of those showers, it's already started to dissipate. So this was even a little bit of an overproducer on our Futurecast model right here. So we're not exactly expecting too much more in regards to those rain chances. And even by midnight, you can see how that cloud cover pushes south as well, leaving us mostly clear overnight. That moisture that's trying to wrap around there from that low pressure center on the East Coast, you can see it right there towards Huntsville and Florence, Alabama. That's as far west as it gets. So here in North Mississippi, staying on the drier side once again. Low temperatures, 66 Amory, 67 New Albany, and 70 for a few folks, South Haven and Greenville included within that. But as we take a look at the school day forecast, yes, it is going to be a mild start to the day, 66, but heat does return by that last bell. So make sure to keep shorts and t-shirts around. Even heading into the fall season, there's still going to be hot temperatures and sunshine sticking around as well. So for a couple of us, some isolated showers, but for the majority of us, it's going to be a sunny and hot forecast once again. Let's take Futurecast into our mid to late morning, where you might notice a few showers out there around Greenville. That might be a little bit of an overproducer. I have it being mostly dry all across our region with clear skies at that. So lunch hour continues to look like a phenomenal forecast. So if you don't have plans to get outside during lunch, go ahead and do so. Teachers, I know it was one of my favorite things when my teachers took me outside for lunch. So a little bit of a nudge for you guys to take your students out for lunch tomorrow afternoon. I know it can get hectic, but if you can handle it, might be worth it for them. 1:30, you can still see those clear and dry conditions sticking around. 2:30, 3 o'clock, that's where those storms start to ratchet up once again. A similar time frame to what we saw today, but the good thing with this forecast is these showers are actually a little bit more east than where we've been seeing it the past 48 hours. So fortunately, that means that some areas that have not been getting rainfall might get some on our Wednesday afternoon, but forecasted rainfall, minimal at best. So those rain chances, although they are possible, are not overly high for impactful rainfall, so don't go into the day expecting that. If we keep Futurecast going into your Wednesday evening, you can see what little moisture we do have clears on out. And as we head overnight and into our Thursday, this is what we experienced with this model earlier on at Mississippi Live Weather at 5. It was a little bit over conducive for those showers. And while there are a few possible, we're not expecting, well, let me go ahead and get to it towards the afternoon. We're not expecting, wait for it, trust me, it'll be worthwhile waiting for it. Right here. We're not expecting this to where it's just throwing rainfall all the way across North Mississippi in a very sporadic development. No, we're expecting a couple of showers at best with some heavy rainfall, but for the majority of us, not getting rainfall, getting those drier conditions once again. So it's not exactly a beneficial outlook, but it is what we expect that Thursday forecast to be. And even moving into parts of our Friday before Friday afternoon has more rain chances pushing into that forecast. So whenever we're looking at that forecasted rainfall, this is a better idea of what to expect for our Thursday. A few showers possible. That'll be impactful, about 1/10 of an inch at best, but that's the extent of our moisture for Thursday. And a forecasted rainfall over the next 7 days, still not overly high. We're talking 1/100 of an inch to 1/10 of an inch in a few isolated locations. Now, some of those brief heavy downpours could get up to 1/2 of an inch, but that's not going to be forecasted on our Weather Prediction Center model. This is just a general idea of the positioning on those showers and storms. It does a relatively good job on that. So looking at your day planner, 66 degrees around 7, 89 by noon, 93 topping out towards the afternoon, 20% chance That's the highest percentage we have, and I would not be surprised if by 10 p.m. those chances are dropped down just a bit, just because of how dry things are trending there for your Wednesday afternoon. So we're keeping eyes on that forecast, and we're hopeful. I'm hopeful I won't have to take it down. I'm hopeful I can bump it up, but just not expected with the conditions that we're in. Now, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday sees those rain chances return to the area, so your Friday night football games, your Saturday college football games might have a brief shower possible, but still very isolated and still going to be spotty at best. And this is a little sneak preview. I clicked one too many. Apologies for that. You didn't see that. Oh my word, it keeps coming up. We're going to leave right here. I'm going to set this down. And we'll be talking about the countdown to fall here in just a moment. I told you we're going to be tracking those fall conditions heading into the start of fall here in just a minute. So make sure to keep it here with Mississippi Live Weather at 6 for the very latest on your forecast, not just for this week, but we're tracking long range forecasts through the entire season. So we'll have all of that in full detail coming up here in a couple minutes, or 1 minute actually.
You may see a teen struggling to find his way. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we see a teen gaining the confidence and skills to land his first job. Kids today need people to see their potential and help them achieve it. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we do whatever it takes to help kids succeed. Because when we see young people, we see limitless possibilities. Do you? Join us, Boys and Girls Clubs. Great futures.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
So you heard me talk a moment ago that sunset is happening at 7 o'clock this evening, and this will be the last time it's at 7 o'clock until 2026, being that we're just continuing to fall deeper into that fall season, and of course clocks get set back here in a couple of months. So those two things factored together limits how much sunshine we see during the day and limits where that sunset takes place. And I know for my wife, she hates that. She loves as much sunshine as possible, and I think that's the case for a good majority of us. But for those that want cooler weather, that's good news. And that countdown to fall, I mean, it's less than a week away. 6 days right now for that fall season, 96 days of winter. And I just posted on my meteorologist Gabe Maynor Facebook page and asked you a question if you want to go comment on that. 100 days away from Christmas. Have you got your Christmas shopping done? Well, now might be the time because we are officially double digits away here in about 6 hours or so from Christmas. Yes, can you believe that? 2025 flying on by, and the new year about 107 days away. So 2026 will be here before we know it. But I want to highlight fall being 6 days away. And what do we need to know heading into that fall season? Well, we already tracked that it's going to be pretty much dry and pretty much still hot. But looking at that 22nd through 26th, once fall really kicks in, we're slightly above average on those rain chances. So we're hopeful that it will be some beneficial rainfall to at least bring down some of that drought monitor. Again, not overly high on those conditions, but at least we're getting some of those greens popping up instead of those oranges and reds. We've been seeing that way too often here recently. Even the 24th through the 30th, some of those deeper greens getting into Jackson and Meridian. Hopeful that can continue to trend a little bit more north and hit us here in North Mississippi so we can see a saturated forecast. But it continues to be good from there. The next 30 days, we're still getting those above average conditions really around the Memphis area towards Senatobia, but extending further southeast all the way into the Golden Triangle area, or I guess it's north of the Golden Triangle area, north of Highway 82 in a lot of locations, folks looking much better than what they have been. And if we track the next 90 days, well, right around average. We see that average mark in that gray, and that's basically what we're getting across Mississippi altogether and really for the entire part of the eastern United States. But let's talk temperatures. And temperatures continue to be the story because why do we want fall? We want cooler air. And it doesn't seem like that'll be the case. September 22nd through 26th, we are slightly above our average, our 30-year average in those oranges and somewhat reds there. But that red really kicking in and showing those extremely above average conditions there for the 24th through 30th. So welcome fall. What are you bringing at this point? Because you're not bringing that cooler air that we want, or at least not yet. The next 30 days at least hints that we're going to be right around our 30-year average. And keep in mind that 30-year average, as each outlook comes out, continues to diminish because as each day passes, cooler air is pulled in as a result, and that average is of course cooler as a result. So dropping about a half a degree to a degree as each day passes, or not that much, but you get what I mean, or at least cooling off as each day passes. So that 30-year average, being around average for the next 30 days, at least showcases that we're going to be getting cooler gradually over time, but for some locations still sticking with those above average conditions over the next 30 days. Now the next 3 months, this was the unfortunate part about it, because I said Christmas was 100 days away, about 3 months away. And it seems like that white Christmas that everyone wants, at least on our temperature outlook, at least not looking ideal. And so that's an unfortunate thing looking at that extended forecast, but we know a lot can happen over a 3-month time frame, and we could get some cool days in there along with some warm days. So it's going to be that trade-off over the next couple of months or so. But at least it's going to be a wet forecast. We'll take a blessing where we can, but if we can filter in some of that cooler air with it, we will not be complaining one bit. But speaking of those wet conditions, 7 p.m., there's 20% chance of sticking around in the forecast, 10 p.m., 75 with clear conditions, and then 1 a.m. really seeing those skies clear up. So it's going to be an enjoyable forecast overnight, calm overnight, but yet another day with those mild and hot conditions moving into our Wednesday. We'll have the latest look at those rain chances. Like I said, latest model runs come out tonight at 10, and we'll have the latest look at that for what you need to know heading into your Wednesday afternoon and for the entirety of the latter part of our work week, and maybe even some high school football forecasts as well, because never too early to schedule for that. But you can, of course, track those showers and storms. Oh, I clicked off of it. BRB, 1 second. You can track those forecasts and track those showers wherever you're at using the Mississippi Live Weather app. You can see right here at the bottom of your screen. It's free and available on iOS and Android. So if you do not have it, well, what are you waiting on? I mean, it's been out for about 2 months now, almost 3. But I mean, what better time than now to go ahead and download it? And I mentioned that our broadcast is happening tonight at 10. That'll be live on the app, so that no better way to access it than with that handheld device on our app. But you can also pull us up on Roku. You can pull us up on, what was it? Fire Stick, I think it was the recent one that came out. No, not Fire Stick, Apple TV. That was a recent one that came out. Still working on Fire Stick. Don't think we forgot about you. But we're hopeful we can get that established here in the next little bit. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. And of course, for staying weather aware. We hope you guys have a fantastic evening. And we will see you back here around 10 p.m. to walk through those limited rain chances for your Wednesday.
You need some help?
Your tow chains are a little loose. Could spark a wildfire. I could show you how to secure them properly if you'd like.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
Anytime. You should check out SmokeyBear.com. They've got a bunch of tips on wildfire prevention.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Growing up, Gabe was naturally curious. When he began to discover weather, Gabe just didn't want to know what was happening, but he wanted to know why it was happening. Gabe became fascinated with tornadoes, and it impacted his life. He wanted to pursue a career in meteorology. Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.